Aloha and welcome. I am your host, Geralyn St. Joseph. I am an intuitive relationship empowerment coach. What the heck does that mean? Well, it means that I am a psychic intuitive who works also as a relationship empowerment coach. The reason why I call it that is because it seemed like no matter what I was doing when a reading was involved, it ultimately led to my clients forming better relationships, welcoming in better relationships, and simply having better relationships, especially familial relationships and romantic relationships. I said relationships a lot right there. Sorry. So, what we're here to do today, this is Relationship Essentials 101. Now, this is primarily for people who are looking for a romantic relationship. I say primarily because most of the information that you'll get from this video today also is also connected to or useful in relationships that are already established. So, what you're going to learn is good for any relationship, but we're going to be couching it in terms of wanting a stronger romantic relationship and having a better romantic relationship, drawing in a better romantic relationship. This could also be friendships. It could also be used, as I said, in familiar relationships and things like that. So let's get started. Today's topic is, am I a good partner? Often what we do when we look at relationships is we pull apart the other person in the relationship. What did they do wrong? What can they do for me? How I want to be treated, how I want to feel. It's all egocentric. There's nothing wrong with that as long as you don't forget that you're part of the equation also. You being part of the equation means that you have to bring something to the table. And knowing what you're bringing to the table is essential for finding the right partner. Today, we're going to be talking about create. And here we go. Creating healthy relationships. In order to do so, I use the word create, communicate, respect, earnest, accommodate, time, trust, and empathy. So we're going to be discussing all of these things as we move forward. Now I'm using a regular microphone, so you probably hear my papers and stuff. I'm sorry about that. And I will bring up the share again on occasion. So using the acronym CREATE is an easy way for us to remember what the ingredients are for a really good relationship. The first ingredient is communication. I talk about communication all the time. On my business card, it says that communication is the key to open the world. Communication is not just about you speaking and what you're saying, it's about listening also. Communication is a two-way street. There are always at least two participants, and you need to take turns listening and speaking. One of the things that we do when we communicate oftentimes is we don't really listen. We're not listening to understand. We listen so that we know what we're going to say moving forward. And that's not really helpful. What's really helpful is to make space in our communication so that we are listening in order to understand the other person. And then when we do understand, then we can answer. And if we don't understand, we need to ask questions. Active listening means keeping your mouth shut and your ears open. Like your mom always said, you have two ears and one mouth. So the more we listen to our partner, our friend, our coworker, to understand them, the more that we actually do understand them. And then as we move forward, we'll have a better grasp of what they need, who they are, and how we fit in to our relationship with them. What is their place? What is our place? How do we bounce off of each other? That type of thing. So, another part of communication is silence. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. We're in a TikTok world where everything is 30 seconds fast, fast, fast. However, that's not good for your brain. It's not good for communication. It's not good for your relationships. If every silence has to be filled with something, there's a problem. Allowing silence allows your partner and allows yourself to be able to really think about what was just said, maybe to take it in. All right, what do I think about this? How do I feel about this? How are they reacting to something that I said? It does not have to be banter back and forth so quickly that we miss the whole point of the conversation, which is learning about one another, possibly solving a problem, coming to terms with different things. So having silence is essential. What I would like you to do is practice that. The next time you're in a conversation with somebody or around other people, see how long you could go without breaking the silence. See how long you can go where somebody has said something to you. Can you really think about what they said before the silence is broken? And it takes two for this to work because there are a lot of people who just jump right in. They can't stand silence. But that doesn't mean that you have to jump right in. You can take your time. And if they're trying to rush you to make a decision or to say something, you could say, one moment, let me consider this, or I'll be right with you. I'm just thinking. Something to give you a moment to think about what you're going to say, to think about what was said. Those Twix commercials are great for this, where they get asked a question that's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And they stuff the Twix in their mouth. And that gives them a second to think before they have to answer, because then they have something in their mouth and the person will wait. Unfortunately, in many societies now, that's kind of the way things are, where people are just not active listeners anymore. They want every silence to be filled with something. You don't need to be that person, and you will stand out as a good listener if you train yourself not to be that person. Okay? The second letter in the create, first was communicate, the second is respect. I hear a lot in the relationship sphere where everybody's like, oh, you better respect me and he better respect you, and that's not respectful. When I see a lot of times the person who's demanding respect isn't giving it. If you expect to be respected, you need to respect first. Respect is earned. It's not something that's given. You have to earn respect, and it is very easily lost. So if you're meeting somebody for the first time and the first thing you're going to do is make a snarky remark about what they're wearing or their nationality or something like that, that's not going to win you too many points. Respect is about waiting in communication to actually listen. That's a part of respect also. Respect is woven into everything that we do. If you respect someone, you're not going to go out of your way to hurt them. If you respect someone, you're going to leave them space to be who they are. That's what respect is about. And it is essential in all relationships to have respect and to give respect in order for a relationship to be healthy and to work in the long term. Third letter is Ernest. I went out with a guy named Ernest. I love that name. It's so cute. So being earnest is about being truthful, being honest, being authentic. You're being earnest. That's what earnest means. When you're in a relationship, oftentimes what people tend to do is, especially in the beginning, they put their best foot forward. No problem with that. But they try to figure out what you want or what the partner wants, and they try to become that. I think there's a Taylor Swift song talking about that, about I'll be the woman of your dreams for the first 2 weeks. And she talks about, becoming everything that the man wants in the beginning to reel him in. And then you show yourself, and that's not who you are at all. Oftentimes that will destroy relationships, because when that happens, the other person is left feeling betrayed. They don't know what to do. And the problem is that in a lot of circumstances, both parties are doing this. So you really don't know who you're getting involved with. They don't know who they're getting involved with. You're both dancing around each other, trying to figure out what the other person wants. If you want a healthy relationship, it's about showing up as who you are, being earnest in who you are. Not saying that, oh, yeah, you agree with everything or you like that music and you have no idea what that music is. It's about really showing up authentically as you. So, another thing about respect is that when you do have differences of opinion, that you don't talk down to each other. When there are disagreements or arguments, there's no name calling. We don't do the name calling thing. We don't attack the person. If you're talking about an idea, talk about the idea. The person is not attached to it. And bullying someone into having the same opinion as you do is not really leaving room for any kind of true, authentic relationship. All that's doing is knocking everything down, and you're trying to mold somebody into shape. And that doesn't work. Never works in the long term. Either the person crumbles and becomes nothing, or eventually everything implodes and you have to start over. So the next letter, C-R-E-A, A is accommodate or make accommodations. So what does that mean? So when we talk about accommodating someone else, we're talking about, do you have space in your life for this person? Physical space, mental space, emotional space. Are you ready for a relationship? Do you have anything to bring to the table? Are you bringing a loving, nurturing sense of who you are? Are you bringing safety? What are you bringing to the table? So accommodation means knowing what it is that you have to give the other person. And by the same token, knowing what it is that you may need from the other person and being sure that they can accommodate that. Many, many moons ago, we talked about the love languages, and there were 5. You could break that down further. But one of the love languages was affection. And I almost put affection here, but I feel that accommodate is a better word for it, because if you learn what my love language is, and then you refuse to utilize that, instead you decide that, well, that's not your love language, so you're just not going to do that. Maybe my love language is gifts. And I gift you. I do things for you. Maybe that's not your love language. Maybe yours is quality time. You can intersperse the two, and you can acknowledge the other person's love language by accepting the gifts and also giving gifts, because you know that that's their love language and that's the way they feel loved, and acknowledge that that's the way they're showing love to you, and still let them know that your love language is quality time, and make the space for that quality time. So accommodation means that you're working together. I have a friend who said, being in a relationship is not 50-50. It's 100-100. Both of you come into the relationship 100%. And you give that 100%. And you find where you fit in together, and you find where you can bounce off one another, and where you accentuate one another, and be there for each other. So that's accommodation. Biggie. Are you trustworthy? Now, we all talk about having partners who cheat. Everybody's had a partner who cheated on them. unless you've only had, like one person your entire life and you know that that person's completely honest. For the most part, I'm going to say 99.9% of people in the world have been cheated on in some way or another. And cheating is also breaking trust. And how can you break trust in a relationship? Lying about anything, though. It's not just about being with someone else. It could be lying about the way you really feel about things, not being authentic. Again, going back to the earnest. It could be not acknowledging when something is wrong and then just letting things build and build and build until it gets too big to handle. It can be um, considering something an indiscretion and not discussing it with your partner so that maybe they don't consider the same thing as being a problem. So everything is on this line, or you might say a circle, where some people think one toe on the line, oh, too much, not dealing with that, that is cheating. Other people think you could go this far and it's still not cheating. That unless you are physically with the person, not cheating. So that would be, like that you don't mind them talking to other people online. You don't mind them um, trying to start other relationships over the phone or through video and things like that. It's so much more difficult in today's world to have that faithfulness without telling the person exactly where your lines are. No, you need to get off all the dating sites. If we're together, then we're together. If you're still looking, then we're not together. Then maybe I need to be looking too. Being honest and open is a big part of being trustworthy. And knowing what your partner desires, what they have as red flags and that kind of thing, acknowledging that and making changes in order to suit them, again, accommodate, all these things really roll up together, will help you be a better partner. And we're back to communication too, because you have to talk about it. Do not assume, even if you had the same kind of an upbringing, it doesn't mean that you both look at things the same way. That's not necessarily the way things are. You may think you look at things the same way, but in reality, they may have vastly different views. I grew up Roman Catholic, and we were taught that you save yourself for marriage. I've never been married. I have a child, so I obviously did not do that. But I do have a very strict ideal of integrity with who I am willing to be with and when. So, no, I didn't save myself for marriage, but I also don't give myself to just anybody. Knowing the difference between these two and seeing where the other person is will help you form a more healthy relationship and a more balanced relationship, a relationship that is going to be more solid because you're laying the groundwork. And it's not just about laying the foundation. It's good to have a good foundation, but then you have to keep up with that, especially as you grow older, as you are together more and your relationship becomes longer. Hopefully, you're both growing as people and you're having experiences either together or maybe you have work experiences separately and things like that. But you need to bring that to the table too. And again, we're back to accommodating, earnestness, respect, communication. All of these things will help you stay in a committed relationship in a good way. It will help you grow within the relationship. It will help them grow within the relationship. Now, last but not least, we have empathy. Empathy is when you can feel how someone else is feeling. You could also say compassion, but compassion is looking at something, being able to look from a distance and understand. It's kind of like sympathy. where you're looking at somebody, but you're not feeling it with them. So, in order to have a really strong, especially romantic relationship or even friendship, to have empathy, to be able to feel with them, like you're taking part of that emotion on. You don't just understand the emotion, you actually feel it too. Losing a pet, losing a loved one, things like this. And when they're hurting, you're hurting. It's not about being so intertwined with one another that you can't tell what's yours and what's theirs. It's about being able to know what's yours and what's theirs, and yet feeling things with them and going through it with them. So let's recap real quick. So we have create. Create is communicate, respect, earnestness, trustworthy, and empathy. And I'm going to bring up our little and accommodate, and time is similar. So that's real quick how you can have a healthy relationship, figuring out what it is you bring to the table. Do you listen? Are you respectful? Do you show up fully as who you are? Do you have space in your life, mentally, emotionally, physically? Do you have that space so that you can accommodate, bring another person into your life, and you have room for them to be there? Being trustworthy, both in presenting yourself, again, being earnest, and also in telling the truth, basically. Trustworthy means I can trust you to let me know what the truth is. I can count on you. And that's also a part of respect. And then the last and very important is empathy, having empathy for your partner. Still maintaining who you are, yet having empathy for who they are and what they're going through. And they should do the same for you. So, looking at all that, I want you very quickly just to think, take a breath, take a moment of silence. And I want you to think about, what do you bring to the table? Are you respectful? Are you trustworthy? Are you showing up authentically as who you are? Do you have empathy? Or do you expect all this from your partner? You want them to take care of you, but you really don't have the space or the means or the desire to do any of this for someone else. The reason why I keep saying partner is because partners are equal. Sometimes you're going to be doing more, sometimes they're going to be doing more, but ultimately it leads to a balanced exchange of energy, time, and attention. My name is Geralyn St. Joseph. I am a psychic intuitive and an intuitive relationship coach. You can find me at relationshipcoachgsj.com. G as in girl, S as in Saint, J as in Joseph.com. You can work with me one-on-one or in a group session. Contact me and let me know what you think. Leave some comments down below. If you like what you heard and you want to follow this series, then please subscribe and hit the little bell. And if you liked what you saw here, hit the like button. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for waiting to the end of the video. I appreciate you. Mahalo.